do the interview. Because for me, that's the very direct contact with the artists. And I work in art circle, and I worked as a journalist in the very beginning. So I should say my background. So the connection between me and art circle in the very beginning is from interview. And that's very, very important for me, the first step, to know what the artists they're thinking about. So that fascinated me a lot. So even though I don't have much time to really do a lot of interviews, but I keep this as the core of my jobs, and because that's, I think, as a curator, it's very important to know first the person or the people you work with. Not only, even though people would say the artworks is the priority, but for me, I think people is the priority. That gives me very different angles to realize artworks. Because artwork, sometimes the visual language, symbols, or lots of interpretations, it's like they have a very beautiful cover. But actually, when you talk to people, when you listen to people, and I think that's completely different experience. I think the critics, the article written from other critics, could be references and could be a way to understand the work or to understand the person. But it's not the only way. And I still believe the personal contact and experience when you talk to that person. Of course, it sometimes changed a lot. It sometimes completely changed my understanding about the works. Yeah. But for me, I'm not that big fan of that kind of theory, because everything should go back to the person's context and person's life context or his personal living experience. And I still think that's a very important. My deepest feeling is that Taiwanese society is the context, social context, or the sense of the history is really fragmented. For example, if you ask younger generation, like in their 20s right now, you ask them about the martial law period in 80s. They barely know anything about what happened at that time. But I grew up in 80s. That's not very far away from me, but it's really a big gap. Even we just talk with the young people, not so young. Maybe some a little bit younger generation, and sometimes we don't have that kind of link, historical link, and I think that's a problem here, and that's why that's a very important reason I want to do the interview, because I would like to rebuild or to reconnect this, I shouldn't say historical, but it's a cultural or the social.
有点烫。
This kind of context, the purpose of the interview should be sharing. And sometimes we feel that we don't know the younger generation, but actually we don't know our elder generation. We have such big historical gap and here in Taiwan. And I think as an independent curator or as a curator in Taiwan, that's my job or that's my task to do. This is another reason that I use interview is that usually when we have conversation, it's a very casual way. If those words, it's not spoken by artists, it's written by the artist or the art critic, it's probably more difficult for audience to understand it. But interview, because it's easy conversation or it's more like relaxed, it's already easier for the readers to understand. And so when I produce or when I edit the contents of the interview, I will see, is this book for everyone? Is that for everyone? I will try to reorganize or re-edit the contents. But if the interview text is for the specific readers or specific audience, some parts should be in. We see so many young artists. They graduate from school and they produce new works. Sometimes we will say that all young generations artworks have their own characters. Like they like anime, they like to use videos. But in our generation, in 90s, still installation artwork is very trendy things. So, but I won't say trends. I won't say there are trends or something is trendy. I think it really depends on the different artists, and especially in Taiwanese art circle, that's not so many artists. That's not such a big. So, and before 2007, there's no contemporary art market actually. So, if you want to say there's trend, maybe after the art markets boomed after 2005, it's market driven. When our students, when they're in school, they are pushed to learn the art theories, art histories. But that's not our art history, basically. It's all from the West. So they learned or they studied a lot. To some certain extent, they are more knowledgeable than me because they read a lot of philosophical books and the theories and the art history, maybe more than even than me. But the problems here is they lack the connection with our own society. What's the meaning of our own art history? Do we have our own art history? What is that? We should face that. We couldn't say that it's such a diverse society, and now it's a global world. So of course it is, but we should think this in another way. That's why I want to address that our history is such fragmented, and that becomes a very bizarre or very awkward question. It shouldn't be misunderstood like that. I don't like the students in school, they shouldn't study Western theory. It's not, I'm not saying that, but I think we should reflect on this issue. And since 2008, because Taipei Biennial, it's curated by Basim Cotton and the Mandarin Shi, and they brought lots of political art to Taiwan. And I found that in the academic and in schools, lots of the young artists started to eager to know what's the political art, what's the social engagement, and they're eager to participate in this kind of, maybe you can say, trend. But here's the problem, because what they started before, all from the Western influences, all the Western theories, how could you connect your knowledge to your realities? And I think that's what's happening right now in Taiwanese art environment. If we would like to know this trend of the political art or the social engagement, we should know we have some people in the 80s did this in Taiwan, but not the yes men in the US or some people in Europe doing something. Of course, that's the information for us, but nowadays the the world is so complex. And what would you like suddenly to concern about these issues, or concerned about these issues just for your purpose of artwork, or you're really concerned about these issues? But until now, we found there are so many biennials, and because the cities or the governments officials, they find it's a very good tool to promote your city. So the purpose seems become such a big combination. So within this kind of situation, how to do a biennial, how to do a good biennial, what's the purpose of the biennial should be talked about.
What is your purpose?
To do a biennial? In the context of Taiwanese contemporary art, the first biennial starts from 1998. I think that's very important because at the moment, it's the way, first time for Taiwanese contemporary art to connect with the international. That's helpful, and that helped us to really get the connections with, because Taiwan is an island, there's no easy connections to other places. So that's a very good way to open. If we don't have the foreign curious, can we do a biennial, Taipei biennial? Can we do a biennials with such global visions? I think we can do it now, actually. Last Tuesday, Maria Ling, a curator from New York, she lectured in Taipei Fine Arts Museum, and I agreed very much about one of her points is that curating work, in the end, it still should be about artworks. It's not about curatorial concepts. Maybe that's important, but it's not curating for curating's sake. This is because maybe I'm ambitious. I feel that in Taiwan we should have this kind of vision to see our context. The context, that means a period of time, maybe 10 years, 20 years, to really know what's happening during these 10 or 20 years. What do you mean? Are you Is it a question? 我是不是台湾人? Yes. But you know Taiwanese, we go to temple all the time and we pray to different kinds of gods. I do that as well. But religion, not especially I go to specific church or temple, no. I would like to write books about something really interesting. It's maybe not about art, maybe it's about food or something interests me a lot, and I experience it. I would like to write about those things.